Welcome to Dreamcatchers, a show that's dedicated to promoting Kahnawake youth's talents and successes. I'm your host, Lauren McCumber. With me today is Diazaruzere Gordon Leclerc, and he's interned at Teen Vogue, GQ Magazine, Macy's, and Esquire. And he's also a graduate of Parsons School, which is in New York. So, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here. Let's start with graduation. How does it feel to have graduated from Parsons? It's such a renowned school.
It's kind of it doesn't feel like I graduated at all yet because the final show is in May, and I'm sort of still working on several dozen projects, so I'm still kind of in that finals mode, and I'm sure it'll hit me when probably like a month when I realize there's no money coming in.
Oh man. So how was your experience there at Parsons? When did you start?
I started Parsons in fall of 2009. It was sort of a transition from going to Dawson to Parsons before that, because Parsons is more of an international school. We have students coming in from several different countries, and it was good to be the 0.8% of the Native American population there. And It was interesting. It was more working with professionals than it was at Dawson, because most of the teachers are actually working full-time in the design and creative community.
And Parsons is the place where Project Runway was filmed,
yes.
Right? Did you ever get to see any of the filming of that, or run into any of the contestants?
Project Runway is filmed in the 42nd Street building, whereas that's just a fashion building, and all the other programs are down in Greenwich Village, where most of my classes were. So I didn't get to see Tim Gunn or anything like that running around, but they're secluded to their own floor. But you definitely know they're there.
So what program were you accepted into?
I was in communication design. It's a Bachelor's of Fine Arts within graphic design.
And what kind of work did you do?
I focused mostly on publication design and graphic design. So it'd be working with magazines, working with book covers or publishers.
What was your favorite aspect of going to Parsons?
My favorite aspect was, I'd say the professional, I don't know what the word would be, like the links the students and the teachers would have. It wasn't hard to get an internship, and everyone you know is sort of working at a sort of up their place. Like I had friends who were at McCann Erickson Advertising, or friends at Marvel Comics, and so it's sort of a very
a good jumping off point?
Good jumping off point,
yeah, for
yes.
sure. A lot of networking and...
Networking,
yeah. That's awesome. So you had to actually move to New York from Little Kahnawake. How was that?
It was a big U-Haul. I literally moved everything from my parents' place that was mine. So now when I go visit, there's just like a guest bed and a TV. But it was treacherous driving a U-Haul for the first time attached to our little Ford Escape, and especially going through like the Bronx, because there's 800 different highways and several dozen wrong turns later, I finally made it. And when I first moved, I didn't have an apartment, or I didn't know anyone except for my father's relative, and we stayed at her place in Rockaway Beach for 3 days, and I got an apartment off Craigslist the first night.
Wow. That's like a whirlwind. How did you manage that? How old were you?
I was 20, and I drank a lot of coffee.
At 20, I could not imagine doing that. Like, I could just never do that. What is it in you that said, I can do this?
I've always wanted to move to New York, I think, since I was a kid. I was watching a lot of Hey Arnold and all those other urban cartoons, but it was very hand in glove moving to New York City. It just felt natural, felt good.
So actually living in New York, what was that like?
It took some adjustments to get used to the basic things like the subway, but food is so much cheaper, and I met a bunch of people right away, and it was within 2 weeks I was kind of settled.
Do you consider yourself a New Yorker now?
I do consider myself a New Yorker, yes.
Do you do a lot of walking?
It's all walking. It's no driving at all. It's so weird when I'm in town, I just feel like, I'll walk somewhere, but it feels so much farther, and I don't know, there's no subway.
It's just not the same.
No.
So how far away was your apartment from your work? Like how many blocks did you have to walk every day to work?
Well, I lived in Queens in Astoria. That's sort of like, I feel like the the new grounds for anyone who first moves to New York. They always wind up in Queens. So it wasn't that far. It was about a 25-minute subway ride, 30-minute ride to school. But now I finally settled in Brooklyn. I'm in Bushwick, and it's a thriving art community. And it's now just like 15, 20 minutes to get to work in school.
What's the most exciting part about living in New York? For, well, doing what you love, too, on top of that.
Yeah. It's probably the fact that I have access to anything I sort of want to do or want to see. So if I'm in the mood to go see some random movie or whatever, it's there. If I want to go eat this type of food, it's there. And it's always just within hand's reach. That's why I love it so much.
So now that you've graduated from Parsons, what are you doing?
Within the next few weeks, I'm going to be doing a massive portfolio edit as well as a website redesign. And then I'm going to start the fruitful job hunt.
It's always fun.
Yeah, and it's going to be, I'm going to just try and do a lot of freelance work within the next year, hopefully find something permanent, but I'm also looking into getting my master's in 2013 in hopefully a master's of business administration.
So we're going to take a break, but when we come back, we're going to take a look at what Dea Zaruzere is working on now, and we're going to talk a bit about some of the awesome internships he landed while he was at Parsons. We'll be right back.